welcome back to yet another segment of Burnt Coverage. I'm your host, Joel.
And I'm Curtis.
And you keep coming in, so we keep filming.
That's what she said.
So anyway, we are your go-to sources for daily and weekly fantasy play, FanDuels and DraftKings, and what we deal in prices. If you have any interest in dealing in other sites, let us know. We'll touch upon them as well. But this segment, we're going to deal with defenses and kickers? Or are we just doing defenses?
Really, we're just doing defenses, but we'll throw in a kicker just for shits and giggles.
Okay, sounds good. You want to start?
Sure, why not?
Awesome.
This is the segment where we're the most inebriated. So if you've hung in this long, or this is the first one you've seen, I apologize. My defense of the week is the most obvious, boring, easy, must-play defense. And there was one last week. It was Seattle. This week, it's the Cardinals. Arizona is playing lights-out football on both sides of the ball. That's going to continue when they're at home against the Rams, who are not playing lights-out on either side of the football, especially the offense. They lost to an inept Steelers offense when they lost Roethlisberger. This week they're playing top 5 quarterback in Carson Palmer and a very stout defense in the Cardinals. The Cardinals are coming in at $3,400 on DraftKings, $5,000 on FanDuel. These are the most expensive prices for defensive plays. However, they're the safest and offer the highest ceiling. Tyrann Mathieu is a beast and really emerging in his own right. Of course, we have Patrick Peterson as well. There are no real threats in the offensive game of the Rams. I think Gurley will be better in the long run. Last week he didn't show well. I think he's not going to show well this week. It will be a time, but it's not this week on the road. We still are awaiting the arrival of Brian Quick. Britt did have a 100-yard game last week against an extremely suspect Steelers defense. That's not going to happen this week because he'll be covered very closely by Patrick Peterson. There is no way that you can argue against the Cardinals defense this week. I have very little to say on the subject.
Funny you should say that. I can argue against that completely.
Please.
Although last week, I think, well, first of all, I'm going to say I'm pretty sure that everybody who plays in daily fantasy played the Seattle Seahawks defense. I did not see one team. I saw one team that had Arizona played last week, but every other team, and I looked at a lot of teams, everybody had Seattle, and they paid off. But this week, I'm going to have to disagree with you. The Arizona is playing lights out, no doubt about it. But St. Louis, Arizona is always a very tough game, and this offense cannot get any worse. I'm talking about the Rams, of course. I'm very sorry about Nick Foles last week. I apologize. That was my call. Damn you, Foles. But
Eagles, so you die.
Like you said, I really think Todd Gurley is. Last week he was on the limited pitch count. I think this is the week that they bust him loose, and he is a pass catching back out of the backfield, and I feel that he'll break one loose. Brian Quick is a number 1 wide receiver on this team, and I don't know what Jeff Fisher is thinking in holding him back. He keeps saying it's a conditioning thing. But I'm not saying this is a high-scoring game, and I'm not saying that Arizona's a bad defensive play, because I think it'll be a very low-scoring game. So I'm going to go on record, I think St. Louis wins this game. But I think it'll be a very low-scoring win for the Rams. But I think they finally get that offense on track because Fisher finally realizes that he has 2 offensive weapons that he's not using. Yeah.
Whenever I hear a lot of buts, I think about a lot of shit following behind it. And you actually
that
think...
was witty.
Thank you. You actually think the Rams are going to beat the Cardinals in Arizona?
I do.
After the shellacking that they just put on last week?
I do. Absolutely. Do you think that they're just going to go... The Cardinals are going to score 41 points on everybody every week?
I think they could throw it on the Rams, for sure.
Care to put money on it?
Yeah, I do care, and I will be by picking the Arizona Cardinals defense.
No, I'm not saying
to all of my.
I'm not saying it's a bad play, but I don't think that it's as solid of a play as the Seahawks were last week. I think the Seahawks last week were a no-brainer. That's why everybody played them, and that's why everybody won as a result of them. But this week, no, the Cardinals are a very good team. They're not as good as they've looked. They're going to come back to earth. St. Louis, Arizona, they're always very tight games. This is the week. Mark it. Write it down. You're here. You see it. St. Louis wins.
I think my counterpart's overthinking, which is very hard for him to think at all. So,
17-10 Rams.
17-10 Rams.
17-10 Rams.
Alright, yeah. Man, I just...
We're opening it up to
don't
various
see that
forms of...
17-10 Rams actually would still cover probably.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying the Cardinals are a bad defensive play, but I just don't think they're as strong as the Seahawks were last week. And I think there are better values this week. Like last week, Seattle was the most expensive, but they were the obvious play, and they obviously paid off. Whereas I think you can find more points for less money this week in defense.
Sounds like a segue to me.
Segue? I forget who I said. All right, so I'm going to start off with the best defense in the NFL in real football or fake football, and that's the Denver Broncos. They're playing against the Minnesota Vikings this week. This is one we don't have to overthink. Denver has they've got 2 interceptions in every game this year. They're averaging 4 sacks and 1 touchdown a game. Small sample size, but 4 sacks and a touchdown a game, it's 8 points right there. Now they get Teddy Bridgewater and Mike Wallace. Yes, they've got to go against AP, but we've seen AP before. We've seen great AP games, and we've seen AP games where it's 15 rushes for 30 yards, and I really think that this Denver defense is putting on a show. Again, like I said, if you haven't watched an Oakland game for the offense, watch a Denver game for the defense. It's just an amazing thing to see. They swarm the ball. I really think AP is a poor play this week, and the Denver defense going for the price of $4,700 on FanDuel and $3,300 on DraftKings is a great defensive value.
So my issue is a weird one, and I think
most of your issues are
talk to my psychiatrist
or your wife.
Hey, that's a different story. Joel, I shouldn't share so much with you. My issue is that I think Denver is a fantastic defense.
Yes,
I really do. But the problem is we know what Minnesota's offensive game plan is going to be.
Yeah,
it's going to be Adrian Peterson. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the 30 carry Adrian Peterson week.
30 carries for 50 yards. Like he may get 30 carries, but I'm saying because I think they'll be behind so much that they won't be able to give AP the rock that many times.
You give AP the ball, he's going to get 100 yards.
That's not true. That's not true. Like he has his games where he gets 200 yards, then he has his games where he gets 50 yards.
Well,
and I think this is one of those.
Let me finish. I'm half agreeing with you. I think.
Well, then you're half right.
Thank you. I am half right. And the reason I don't think they're a strong play is I don't see a lot of opportunities for pick sixes. I don't see a lot of opportunities for fumbles and sacks in the backfield because they're going to be giving AP the ball. And these are the things you get points on in DraftKings and FanDuel. Are the sacks, are the interceptions, are the returns. I just don't see it this week with the amount of production, the amount of looks that Adrian Peterson's going to get.
Okay, but even if he gets 30 carries, that still equates to at least 20 pass attempts by Teddy Bridgewater, right? Like just law of averages in an average NFL game. Like Teddy Bridgewater, if Adrian Peterson runs it 30 times, Bridgewater's going to have to throw it 15. Even if they go the 15 to 20 pass attempt route, like that, the amount of pressure that Denver's D will put on him, a sack will equal a fumble, will equal a touchdown, or will equal an interception, will equal a touchdown. It's just the Denver defense is is fun to watch.
I think this game's going to be closer than people give it credit for, and I think we kind of touched on it before. Minnesota's got a decent cornerback situation. Denver's running back situation hasn't been very good. I think it's going to be a closer game throughout than we think. I think Adrian Peterson's going to run a lot of clock, and I don't think he's going to let. And Teddy Bridgewater is still a very efficient quarterback. I know he hasn't been a great quarterback this year, but he's still very efficient. I see a lot of dump offs to Rudolph, or Randolph, sorry. Rudolph, thank you. And Charles Johnson, but Mike Williams,
Mike Wallace.
Or Mike Wallace. I don't watch football.
We established that.
Yeah. It's our last segment. Bear with me. I'm a little concerned for the opportunities that the Broncos will have.
But I think that's what makes a good defense great, is that they make the opportunities. It's not a matter of having a quarterback throw it 30 times to get those interceptions or those sacks. They take advantage of limited opportunities, and I think that's what the Denver defense capitalizes on.
All right.
I'm right.
And there we are. Defense. Hi.
Defense.
So I'm
Defend your defense.
I'm gonna swing on a defense here, and it's hard for me to do, but I wanted to do a low one just for you people out there that wanted to squeeze in a low end defense. So here it is: Oakland Raiders against our terrible Chicago offense with Jimmy Clausen, questionable Alshon Jeffrey. Really, their only weapons are Martellus Bennett, who had 15 yards last week, and Matt Forte. You got to imagine they're going to try to slam the box on Forte. Raiders coming at 2,600 in DraftKings, 4,500 in FanDuel. They're not a good defense. Let's just put it out there. But as I picked last week, the Bucs, who aren't a good defense, and held the Texans to a very low score and covered. I think the Raiders could do the same thing this week. If you just can't get away from playing a lot of high-end offensive players, I think the Raiders could be a decent pick for their price.
False. There's no way that Chicago's offense will be as inept as they were last week, because the Oakland Raiders defense is not Seattle Seahawks. That we've already touched on it in a previous segment. The one thing that makes Oakland fun to watch is that they have no defense, so that makes their offense intriguing, and that makes the opportunities for Carr and Cooper and Crabtree available, and Murray, all that much more available. And Alshon Jeffrey, even if Alshon Jeffrey doesn't play, which I am on record saying I believe he does play, Martellus Bennett will be a beast. If Jeffrey doesn't play, Bennett will get the 15 targets and 10 receptions. Like, that's still they're going to score at least 10 points. They can't be as bad. Jimmy Clausen's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He is this week, but he's not a good starting quarterback in the NFL. But he's playing a terrible defense, and that's what this is all about: capitalizing on bad defenses.
To be fair, I've shown my cards. Literally, I picked the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are the play of the week. Joel might disagree with me, but I did want to give you some lower end option that I think could be viable. I think, and Joel did say that the Raiders could be up in this one, which would make Jimmy Clausen throw a lot, which isn't a very good thing for his prospects.
For anybody.
Yeah. But what is for one specific segment of our fantasy population, that's the Raiders defense. He can throw a pick, maybe a pick six. That's why I'm taking the Raiders on a low end.
Okay. You're wrong. Again. But we're used to that by now, because this is our fourth week of you being wrong. So the actual proper low play defense of the week are the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right. This is time for the Philadelphia Eagles segment.
Hey, we squeezed it in. Oh, here it is.
Coverage.
Here it is.
So let's touch on prices. $4,500 on FanDuel, and DraftKings once again going dirt cheap, $2,700. All All right, so this Philadelphia Eagles team is complete opposite of teams that we've seen under the Chip Kelly era. We've always had their offensive game, and we've waited and hoped for their defense to catch up. This year it's been the opposite because their defense has kept them in the games, and we're waiting for their offense to show up. And not only do we get Kirk Cousins this week, and we all know what Kirk Cousins does, is he throws interceptions. But you also, when you play defense, you get their special teams. And as last week showed, we have a spark plug in Darren Sproles as our punt returner, and I anticipate Josh Huff returning this week to return kicks, and they're both very dynamic kick return and punt returners, so I don't anticipate them running one back, but I do anticipate a pick six from Kirk Cousins, Walter Thurman, Nolan Carroll, Byron Maxwell, I think, are going to pick one out. And I don't think Washington puts up more than 10 points this game in a division battle. This is not a very high-scoring game. I'm looking at 23-10 Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I can't argue much against it. I will say, though, division games do have the tendency to either be really low-scoring or very high-scoring. If Deshaun Jackson comes back, that's going to put a big dent in the Eagles' defensive plans because Deshaun Jackson will show up, hobbled or not, and score on this team.
No, he'll try to score, but you're right in that division battles are very high-scoring or very low-scoring, and I was very on the fence about making this because Bradford's going to break out. I didn't make him my pick this week, but this is a very good possibility of this being the week, especially since
Bradford's going to break out. I didn't make him my pick this week.
Especially being that they established the running game last week, so that's going to open things up.
They established the running game last week with a couple of running backs that aren't going to see the field very much.
Ryan Matthews will get 15 touches this week.
15 touches?
Yeah.
How many is DeMarco Murray going to get?
If Murray plays, he'll get 20.
20, 15, and Sproles?
Sproles not the running back. Sproles is a wide receiver. Sproles is the Lance Dunbar of the Philadelphia Eagles. Sproles will get 3 to 5 carries.
So 35 carries from your running backs, and then Bradford's going to break out this week?
Yeah, if Bradford throws 20 times, yeah.
Sounds like a lot of offensive opportunities for your Eagles.
You know I'm right.
You can always go back to...
Have I ever let you down?
Yes. Yes,
Maybe
several times.
Maybe that once. Once a week. This is not that time.
And now the moment you've all been waiting for, kickers. I got Lambeau for Chargers because he's still 4,500.
I'll go, if you're playing DraftKings, if you're playing DraftKings, I'll go Nick Novak, the new kicker for the Houston Texans, because he's not available on FanDuel right now. But he's dirt cheap. He's the cheapest kicker. And if not, because my co-host said that division battles are very high scoring, I will go with a new kicker for the Philadelphia Eagles in Caleb Sturgis, formerly of Miami Dolphins fame. Go Angel.
And because my counterpart doesn't play DraftKings...
I do play DraftKings.
Oh, then you would know they don't even have a kicker on DraftKings. So...
That's why I couldn't find him.
I'm sure I'll edit that in post. If you watch this long, you deserve to see that. So, trust Joel in all your picks this week. That's Joel, and I'm Curtis.
I hate you. See you next week on the couch. Fuck off.
We're Burnt Coverage. Check us out on Facebook, Burnt Coverage, Burnt_coverage on Twitter. God damn it. I know, I'm so sorry. And we'll see you next week.
I quit. I'm not coming back next week.
Bye.
Fuck!
Love it. That's what you get for me as an ass.